Hello everybody, welcome to episode 263 of Show Fever. Today we'll be going over episode 20 of Daemons of the Shadow Realm. Now, I'm just going to say, I got blessed this Saturday evening because I got inarguably the best episode of Bleach of both shows of all time. And then, probably the best episode of Daemons of the Shadow Realm, because this episode was sick. So we see it starts off, and the Ivan and Yuru battle continues. And we see as he cuts Wright's attack at him and all of that. And we then also see as Yuru is still trying to shoot him. However, Ivan's able to dodge him, and ultimately, he runs out of arrows. So then he yells, "Yo, Dara, shoot him!" So Dara ends up shooting at him, but what Ivan ends up doing is he deflects the bullet with his blade, knocking it at Wright. It goes through Wright's spectral head, and then it hits Yuru, grazes Yuru. And we see as Yuru falls back, and then everyone's attention is on Yuru. Ivan is able to get away, and uses a little, astral, movement blade thing to essentially move him back to the Shingo area. So we see everyone goes and gathers around Yuru and they're talking and everything, but Yuru is in fact fine. He just got grazed. So then we end up going to where Ivan ultimately is going. So we see Shingo, Asuma are kind of talking all of that, and we're seeing Fujin Raijin holding down that one goon's Daemons. And then Asuma turns on Shingo. He ends up using Yozakura to hold Shingo down, and then he starts to talk to him. And we learn through Asuma's dialogue that Shingo is in fact not smart enough to have been doing all this by himself. So Asuma has deduced down that in fact Shingo has a higher up, and that there's a larger entity working behind Shingo. And so he kind of yells about this for a second, and then Ivan pulls up, because this is where Ivan was going to, and we see as he notices what's going on, and ultimately he kills Shingo, apparently Yozakura, Fujin, Raijin, and doesn't actually kill the goons' Daemons for some reason. But yeah, so then after this, we see as him and Asuma have a brief interaction. Now, how he killed Yozakura and Shingo was actually really cool. He just straight up bisected both of them right down the center. But Shingo was on the ground, so just cut his head. But yeah, so then after this, we see as they talk, and ultimately, Ivan's like, "Yo, did he tell you anything?" And Asuma's like, "No, but I did deduce down through his answers that there is a higher up, there's something bigger than the both of y'all that I must find." And then Ivan prepares to fight him, but ultimately Ivan is unable to because he absorbed Left's energy. Because as we see, and as we learn, he in fact absorbed the demonic energy from Left to empower himself. And we also saw as Yuru and gang deduced this down. And so we know that his power is what I presumed it was in the previous episode. When I discussed in my review of the previous episode. So we learned this, and ultimately he ends up escaping to get away and recuperate because he can't face Asuma at this level. And also, we see that Yozakura was not fully killed because there was a minor little insect part of Yozakura on Asuma's back, so he wouldn't end up getting completely killed. And also, Ivan fled because he saw that Gonzo, Asa, and Fuyuki were pulling up. So then we see as they all up and coming back here, Asa sees Ivan as he's running away. And then everything kind of starts to die down. We also see as Yuru ends up regrouping with, ends up finding Asa and crew. And everything kind of just continues from this point. We see as they kind of discuss, get back to know, this is actually later on. I'll actually discuss what happens to Ivan first. So Ivan, he ends up getting away, and he heads like this little playground area where he ends up calling up this individual by the name of Mineyama. Mineyama is a new character we have not seen before, but we get to see her Daemons, which are like dung beetles, and we see that she's in fact has the responsibility of disposing of the bodies for this new village we learned of, Nishino Village. We learned that Mine and Ivan are, not assailants, but members of this Nishino Village. And presumably they are the ones who were above Shingo. So, see, Mine ends up clearing up all the bodies, and she ends up coming to Ivan. And her and Ivan talk briefly. We see that she has a massive crush on Ivan, or at least a joking one. I don't know for certain based off how she interacted with him. But yeah, so we see this, and she accuses Ivan of failing at getting Yuru and all of that, and he gets very angry, ends up whipping his blade right to her throat, and he says, "No, Yuru will come to me, you just wait and see." And then that kind of, she mentions about how it almost seems like they're in love or something, that makes her a little bit jealous. But yeah, so then we end up going back to where everyone is reunited. Like I said, Yuru, Asa, Dara, all of them, and Asa's very mad that Yuru got shot by Dara, but ultimately Dara ends up kind of clearing the air, and right and left are kind of blamed as well. Now, I forgot to mention this, but right and left were also, like, after all the encounter and all that, right and left, we actually got some information on them. We learned that they, in fact, do not know how they can die because they've never died, and also they can, well, we knew this prior, but they can simply repair their limbs with, like, stone glue and all of that. And then, alongside that, we learned that they don't have any internal organs because, left didn't take any real damage from getting stabbed in the heart, but she did feel the energy getting soaked through, and that's what we see Ivan struggling with now as he goes to the plate, because he's got all this energy flowing through him. He mentions about how it's like being, like drinking gallons worth of energy drinks. So then, back to what I was talking about. So they're all here, and ultimately we see as the planned interrogation of the fake Asa and the small child from Higashi Village starts to go. We see as Asa actually takes the small child, I believe her name's Asami, out of Yin and Yang's little like white portal realm, and she comes out here and she's very scared of her surroundings and all that. We actually see as she faints. But then we now see that Danji, Yuru, and Asa are here to, I guess, confront the fake Asa in this white realm. So yeah, that's literally was for episode 20 of Daemons in the Shadow Realm. This episode was great. I loved how genuinely like massive it felt. It was an average sized episode, but this episode felt very large. We got a lot of information, a lot of very cool scenes, and yeah, so it was just all around a great episode, and it's probably my most enjoyed throughout the entirety of Daemons in the Shadow Realm so far. And we only got 4 left, which is very sad because it's going very well right now. Like the last couple episodes have been genuinely phenomenal. So yeah, like I said, that's all it really was for that episode, and that's all we really have for episode 263 of Shelf Review. So, thank you very much for watching.